We are Steve and Jill.
Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more. I'm Stephen Jack Butala.
And I'm Jill DeWit, and this is the Land Academy Show.
This is episode number 2149. Today, Jill and I are talking about why land investing is simpler than other real estate models. Boy, talk about an easy topic.
Well, it's going to be good because I know you have a lot to say about this. And partially because when you started in real estate back in, I won't name the year or the decade.
I don't care.
It started with a 1 and a 9. It didn't start with a 2. Let's do that. But, you were dealing, you have long reminded me and shared with me your horror stories about having the worst and the most difficult types of real estate deals. So I love when you share those stories because, gosh, it just makes me feel warm and fuzzy about what we do.
I have material experience in the most complicated real estate transactions and the simplest.
Yep. Boy, you sought out to do a 180 and you did it.
We'll cover that here in just a few minutes. But I'll tell you, when we're among company that we trust and know and are friends with, even in professional circles, there's always somebody over the dinner table that asks us what we do for a living. And I say, this is my answer. This is what we do. We buy a piece of land and we sell it for more. That's the entire business model. And everybody laughs, and they should laugh, but that's what we do.
Yep.
That is our business model. There's a lot of details that surround it.
Can I go now? That was it. That's the show.
Pain and suffering and crying sometimes, not on our part, but on the part of other people in this industry. And they have an outlet, which is called the social media. So we all know how they feel about it at any given time.
True.
But in the end, you buy a piece of land and sell it for more.
That's it.
All week this week, Jill and I are talking about running your land business better. I handpicked, I have to confess, these topics.
This is good.
Out of a big pool of topics, because this is a topic I really like to talk about.
I'm glad.
Today, Monday, we're talking again about why land investing is simpler than other real estate models. On Tuesday, what makes a land business sustainable in the long term. Wednesday, the advantages of partnering versus going solo. In your land business, I have to tell you, I have a real serious experience in both of those too. Having a partner like Jill is way better. Thursday, the hidden costs of land investing and how to avoid them. And then finally, Friday, what's the catch to the Land Academy education model? What's the catch? How do you guys benefit? How is it painful? And we'll cover that because it was a popular question a few weeks ago on our Thursday call, and I think everybody got a lot out of it, including me. Each day on the show, we answer a question from our Land Academy member Discord forum, take a deep dive into land-related topics by popular request.
Okay, so here's our question for today. Wes wrote, this is a question for Stephen or Jill. I'm going through your CRM video, and Airtable looks great, by the way. My question is, have you incorporated your red, yellow, green spreadsheet into Airtable to help with the initial trolling/phishing aspects? Since it's an automation tool, it looks like if you did, you could easily connect it to third-party data sources like DataTree and streamline the process.
Wes, I love this question, and I bet I can guess your background. I have gone over this, and Jill and I have toiled at times with this topic about creating an application from start to finish, where you can buy it and sell land. It's a very, I don't need to even say this, such a popular thing right now. What's the app? And so there's a lot of positives and pros to creating a single point of failure, which is an app. And there's a lot of negatives where the easy button, an example is every manufacturer with cars now has a button for you to parallel park, new ones. Or most, I'm not sure every single one does, but I mean, if you get in a car and press that button and you parallel park and go about your life, you've learned nothing. I mean, nothing.
That's kind of funny. That's a really interesting parallel you're coming up with here.
Look, that's unavoidable. The older I get, the older I seem. and there's a microphone and a camera
Okay.
in my face.
Like, let's pause for just a moment. I'd like to just to digress for a second because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, that digression is the middle name of this podcast.
Exactly. So, like, if you have not learned, if you didn't take your driver's test in an
Oh, listen, who was upset about this?
8-foot-long station wagon with wood siding, by the way, that had to be armor-rolled weekly, and had to parallel park that beast, boy, you're missing out. You have not. There's some driving things I need to teach you.
We tapped a nerve with Mom today.
Yeah, we
it's
did.
not just me.
What did you take? You took your driver's test in like a Volkswagen, didn't you?
I took my driver's test because I'm from Michigan, and the cars that they provided.
Oh, that's well.
It's Michigan.
What was it? Was it a Buick?
It was like a little Buick.
New Buick?
It was a little tiny new Buick, yes, like a mid-sized one.
I had the Country Squire, long baby, and now you guys all know how old I am. So I had to park that beast, parallel park it. That was not fun, but I did.
I have a story to open up to really answer this question. A lot of years ago, I had a different business partner than Jill, and he came from a tech of a serious academic and actual tech background. So this is back in the day where, the internet was just kind of starting. It wasn't just starting, but it was becoming popular. A lot of people didn't know what it was. If you'd ask 10 people what the internet is, they would say, well, I think my little sister uses that, I think. So, stuff like that. So it was there, but it was unused. So this tech partner that I had, we were together for a lot of years, got this crazy idea that we could go to Long Beach from Phoenix, fly into Long Beach, and meet with several people who had freighters full of pallets of returned goods, like Home Depot pallets, still a business model. Back then, you could buy these for $100, and you didn't know what was in there, but if you bought 50 of them, long story short, it didn't work out. The business model didn't work out.
I like where you're going with that, though.
So, now it's like you buy the pallet for $5,000, you might sell all the stuff off on the internet for $9,000. It's not bad for somebody who's starting out and enjoys e-commerce and who enjoys talking to people. I don't like either one of those things. So we get into the rental car, and he starts pulling all this stuff out of his backpack and putting it on the dashboard. And I'm like, what are you doing? What is this? He said, it's GPS. I said, what the hell? I know what GPS is, but what? And so he takes him a half hour. He puts the address into the GPS unit that's sitting on top of the dashboard and plugged into the cigarette lighter. And so we go about, I didn't even know this existed. And I'm driving and he's doing all this stuff. And he said, okay, cool. And it starts talking to us. Take a left here, go straight here.
I remember that thing.
And so, and I had maps, and I was looking at the Hertz rental car maps, a paper map about how to get where we were going. This is Los Angeles, worst traffic scenario that I've ever experienced worldwide. Yeah. And so I'm going right, going left, going right, and we get there. And I looked at him and said, I have absolutely no idea where we are. So people from my generation and older, we're used to solving our own problems. And I'm not knocking the younger generation at all, not in any way. In fact, I'm writing a book right now, and I'm writing the chapter about how I've always sort of been relatively ahead of technology. And it's one of the reasons that I've been successful financially. And so this is technology that I think sent me backwards. And do I use GPS every single day now in the car? Yep. I pop it up on the phone, and it's a part of our lives now. Am I a better person for it? No, I'm probably more lazy. It's just an easy button for me, for the GPS to tell me. And very often it takes us the wrong way. It doesn't take the way that I would have gone if it was just me in 1989. So that's this question, Wes. And I'm not making fun of you in any way. I'm really glad you brought it up. And I chose this question out of a lot. So it's not you, it's me. We can create, Jill and I, an easy button. There are a lot of people about buying and selling land. There are a lot of people in our group that are in the that have gone through Career Path, which is a mastermind group that Jill and I teach 1 or 2 times a year, who have created, because of their background, easy buttons for themselves based on the basic stuff that we teach. You send out a bunch of mail. You find a great place to send out. Find a great place that seems like it'll work, buying and selling land based on what's being bought and sold there now. You send out an offer to everybody that's there who's a logical recipient, logical seller of land. They call back, you buy some properties, and you resell them. That's the entire business model. We could make that a big red easy button in the center of our desk, and so can you. And I would encourage you, like I do with all the LA the LA alumni group, to pursue that. Some people have done it very successfully, and others do it as relatively old school, like Jill and I do, a combination of both. So, yes, we could make that red, green, yellow test in Airtable. From a data perspective, I could make it within 2 days, where the data, just the raw data that's provided by our data sources, tells us what the absolute best zip code is, whatever the parameters that I put in. And I've done this. What ends up happening is it's some obscure zip code in a place like North Dakota. It doesn't pass any common sense tests. If I went into Jill's office before I pushed the button on a mailer, which I always do, and said, you know what? The data says we should buy properties on the Canadian border in North Dakota. She would say, you are out of your mind, which she never says, by the way. Sure. All she ever says to me is, if you just think that's good, excellent. But I wouldn't do it. So there's a point to this where you need to learn how to parallel park your car. I have one more point to make, and I know that we're going way over in time. We're not even in the topic yet. I instigated a small riot in our neighborhood bar about a year ago by asking this question. Have you ever changed a tire? Have you ever changed a car tire? 80% of the people in there said, who hasn't? Are you kidding me? Changing a tire is just part of life. The other 20%, they're much younger, said, why would I ever change a tire?
Right.
What if I do it wrong? They had all kinds of reasons. And they progressively got, the more questions I asked, the more angry they got.
Isn't that weird?
I should never have to change a tire. There are people that come to the roadside if I need them. It's never happened to me. They're bragging about this, that they can change my tire, and they're good at it. They've done it before. I've never done that. What if I do it wrong? What if I put the lug nuts on backwards? That's actually, someone said that. So the cars I drive, you can put them on either way and you're going to be good.
How about you remember how you take them off? That's what I do, and lay them down that way so you put them back on the same way.
Listen, I know the CRM's great. It was a combination of 35 years of us putting some stuff together. The content was me, and the actual execution was Jill and her team. So thank you. The CRM Airtable that we've created is great. It is unattached to any of these other processes, because I know from personal experience for years working with Jill, the magic in these real estate deals happen because Jill's personality comes out to the seller. All I do is tee them up. And so when you start to mechanize everything and make it so it's so simple, and the data has all the answers for you, in my opinion, this is my opinion, you're avoiding something. That's
what I was going to add.
And what you're avoiding is Jill's job.
Why are people trying to make this easier? I don't know. It's a common theme. Like, everything should be like those commercials. The guy's laying in the pool and he's got his tablet in his hand, and the vacuum's running, and the fridge is ordering its own food, and then there's one other thing, and he's like, "Yeah, chores are done." Why are we trying to do that? Yeah,
Improvement is
he's gonna get fat and lazy.
Improvement is part of our lives, but when it starts to, like my GPS example, make you a worse person, like from a humanity standpoint, now I can't read a map. Yeah. Now I can't parallel park my car. Now I can't change a tire.
When zombies come, they're going to be lost. That's what I think.
Yay, zombies. That's what I say. Today's topic, why land investing is simpler than other real estate models. Let's look at, just from a non-emotional, just a return time investment and a return investment on other real estate models. The one that we're all really familiar with, if you're in this space, is buying houses like on HGTV, cleaning them up and selling them. For years and years and years, we have received people into the Land Academy group who have experienced that model and abandoned it. And in the bitter end, here's the facts. You can buy properties and clean them up and sell them all day long. It's a crack up. This BRRRR method, it's just a crack up. If you don't know what that is, please look at it. I don't want to waste our time on this call. It involves like 4 or 5 loans, which is why loan officers created this business model. So in the end, you're going to make $30,000 to $50,000 buying its house and cleaning up it and reselling it, and it's going to take you about 6 months. And that's if everything goes right. If you do 20 of them, you can look at the averages. That's what's going to happen. If you have to borrow money and bring in partners and things like that, it's going to be less, actually a lot less, because your carrying time is way too long on those kinds of deals. That really doesn't work for us. We've tried it. Number 2, you can buy a house and rent it out. So now your cash outlay is $200,000 or $300,000. Same thing with an apartment building, $200,000 or $300,000, $2 or $3 million in some cases. Rent it out and proceed to get about a 10% return for a very long time. Nothing wrong with that business model. It's way more intensive from a time standpoint and money intensive than you think. At the end of the day, you are going to make about 10 to 15% as an operational income model. And so if that seems simple to you, you probably never been a landlord, because it's endless. And I have too many stories to even bring up here after 35 years of people hiring property managers and getting robbed.
Well, not only that, just think about all the COVID craziness. People you couldn't even have a simple Airbnb thing. We've all heard all the horror stories all over the news and social media of how hard it has been to be a good landlord too. You're trying to help people and they won't leave. They don't vacate. You got to evict people. You got to file forms. You got to get the sheriff out there. Like, all those stories are things like, I'm not doing that.
That's great, Jack. So who the hell are these people that are buying these Class A massive apartment buildings and flying around in jets? You must be crazy, Jack. They make it work. And their model works great. You don't have access to that, and neither do I. You can go back into your think area and come back out and put yourself in that position, and you're probably going to do okay. A lot of people do. If you're going to put a partnership together, you have an amazing dynamic personality like Jill, you can stand up in front of a room of investors, put yourself there and say, I put this deal together. I want 5% equity. You guys have done this already, and you're probably going to do great. That business model works great. It's so large that you can put a management company in place, have an auditor that looks at everything and makes sure that it's all okay. When you go big on rental like that, you never meet your tenants. You're going to do just great. But that's not what we're really talking about. We're talking about simpler. That's not simple. That's years away from the first dollar that you're ever going to bring in. Nothing wrong with it. If you're young and a super dynamic personality, I would encourage you to do that. You can buy office buildings and sell them. That's ridiculous. Office buildings will be gone in 5 years or 10 years if they're not already. Nobody works in an office anymore. There's all kinds of other business models. We're way over on time, but our model is crazy simple. You locate a piece of undervalued property. It might be a house, might be a piece of land. If you don't have any money, that's okay. You have us and everybody else in Land Academy that are standing up straight, listening to make sure it's a good deal, who will fund you entirely. It's really, really simple. Why is it simple? You're removing everyone except you and the seller. And eventually, if you're going to utilize that, a silent money partner, and then you won't even ever be exposed to the person who buys it, because you're going to put a real estate agent in place, a qualified real estate agent to go out there and sell it for you.
And maybe a title escrow company to close a deal for you.
Yep.
That's it.
2 or 3 phone conversations,
Nice.
You get the entire deal done, and a lot of signatures.
Isn't that great? I can literally say, yeah, I can spend less than 2 hours total of my time to make 50 grand.
Plus, you have a huge choice about how big you want your company to be.
Yeah.
You want to do this 50 times a month.
Yeah.
There was a time when I was doing 10 deals a day. way back in the day. They were much smaller deals at a high velocity, auctioning them off on eBay very successfully. And I got that to the point where I don't have to do anything because there are people working for me. And the economy's solved that. So it's a simple model. It's much, much more simple. The biggest and we'll deal with this week. There are other things now to deal with that are harder than actually just buying and selling a piece of land in our industry. One of them is that there's a lot of people in the industry now sending mail out, and there's a way to deal with that. And we'll talk about that later this week. Join us tomorrow, where Jill and I talk about what makes a land business sustainable for the long term. You are not alone in your real estate ambition.
We are Jack and Jill.
Information
and inspiration
to buy undervalued property.
We hope you find our content valuable and we appreciate your support. If you have not already, please check out our channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us to create the content you're here for. Hitting the like button helps to support our channel's algorithm and gauge your interest for future shows.